Good afternoon. Wanted to check in and look at what's going to happen the next week in IDT 7095. And so we're down on page 2 now. So this is the week of February 22nd. The project manager this week is going to present the project plan that's due this weekend. And you guys are going to start working on the instructional strategy. So all that's due this week is the project plan that you guys have been working on. And then I wanted to go ahead and look ahead at next week too, because next week there's nothing due except for the team and individual 15-5s. However, it's because coming up after spring break, there's a lot of things. There's going to be something due consecutively, and so that gives you, a chance to continue to work ahead. A lot of you are really getting into the thick of your projects right now. So take advantage of this week where there's, technically not a deadline for anything, but that's because work is happening. So this week, the project manager is going to present the overview of the project plan, and that's going to be due on Sunday along with the team and individual 15-5s. And you're going to make sure you understand the instructional strategy and the treatment report. Those are the two tasks, so we'll look at those in a minute. So let's go ahead and go to the task page. And so this week you'll start working on that instructional strategy. And there's a little PowerPoint in there about different instructional strategies and learning theories and instructional models. And so which of these approaches are you taking? Are you taking a behaviorism approach, constructionism? There's more than these, of course. These are just some examples. There's different learning theories, constructivism, cognitivism, and then, what learning theory are you using? Dual coding, situated learning, information processing. There's so many different choices of learning theories and instructional models that you guys can use to do this. Gagne's 9 events of instruction is a very popular one. Of course, you're already talking about Keller's arcs when you talk about motivation. Many of you have already talked about that. And so just kind of look through this PowerPoint, of course, the books, the readings in the books as well, but talk about which instructional strategy, which model are you going to use. Tell us about it, why you chose that one, why it's the basis for your instruction. So the rationale, and then how you're going to use the elements of that model to create your instruction. And so, and I said it might be helpful to do just a little table with 3 parts: the elements of the model, what they're going to do and what the computer is going to do to support that, or the e-learning or the web-based instruction, the WBI, what's going to happen, and then what action that the student or the learner is going to take, and to show alignment through the model. And so that's one thing that you need to start working on now. And then the next part under tasks is the treatment report. And so your lead developer has been, of course, working all along, but this is the chance when they really start to show their work and for us to see the things that they've been doing. And so here, a description of the site. How is the learner going to navigate? How do they get help? What feedback is it going to provide to the learner? So go over all of that, the interface, and this is everything, how it's going to look. And some of you your client might have dictated how it's going to look by what they're making you use or within a certain system. Others of you have a lot of freedom in the look and feel of your modules, and so you can do screenshots of little mock-ups that you've done. Also a sitemap to show how it's going to work. And so this is, I think, is a good example of a sitemap. It's kind of blurry, but that's okay because it doesn't matter what's on these. It just shows you what a sitemap would look like. So it has this splash page. This is when they click on it, the first thing that comes up: an introduction, some directions, and then a pretest. So for those of you who had me for 70 and 80, you'll understand. For those of you that didn't have me, I'm not sure how much in depth that you went into this, but the pretest may be removed when this goes live, But for the purposes of formative evaluation, you're going to need a pretest to make sure that your instruction was effective. And so at least through formative evaluation, you're going to have a pretest to make sure that the learners see what the learners know before they do the modules. And then at the end, you'll have a post-test to see, or post-test assessment to see what they learned or didn't learn by going through your instruction. And then so each of the modules and then what's going to happen in each of those modules. And so you'll include the style sheet if you use a style sheet, or or if it was already included in the template that you're using. And here's some example documents. There's planning documents and storyboards, show how you're kind of laying all of this out. And I've got some little templates in here that you can use if you wish to create thumbnails of your pages, or a storyboard template. Kind of looks like this. So as a team, you're going to be very busy over these next 2 weeks. And again, I've kind of gone over the next 2 weeks of tasks. And that will get us through the end of the second page of the schedule, which is kind of exciting. But this week, project plan is due. Project manager is going to present that. You're going to work on your instructional strategy and your treatment report. And of course, the team and individual 15-5s. Then we'll have spring break. And when we return from spring break, that content analysis, including your objectives and assessments, is due. So your content should really be shored up by then. And then that instructional strategy is going to be due, and the treatment description and rationale is going to be due then. And then later, the treatment design and template are going to be due. And so we'll talk a little bit more later about the difference between these two things, but the first is basically what you're going to be doing, and then this is actually what it's going to look like, including everything, those storyboards, the thumbnails, all of those things. Okay, so I hope this kind of clarified what you're doing this week. Also, just make sure that you don't forget to stay on top of those team and individual 15-5s. I'm using those to check in. Most of you, I've received your team evaluations and learning team surveys. There were a few that looked maybe incomplete, and so if for some reason you didn't complete those for every member of your team, or didn't get finished, be sure to go ahead and complete that today, because I'm looking at them. All right, I hope you have a fantastic day.